What's going on, family and friends? Welcome back to My Thoughts Uncut. I appreciate you watching me. I am your host, Terrence Manning. Today, we're going to talk about Chicago. Yes, Chicago crime is rampeting up. And Mr. Brandon Johnson claimed that he didn't need Trump's help, nor did he want any help. He claims that Chicago crime was plummeting. Not so much. Let's take a look.
Happening today, the man who allegedly set a woman on fire aboard a Chicago train, a suspect with 49 prior arrests, is due back in court to face a federal terrorism charge.
Look at that, 10 pictures, all the same guy.
49 is
Chanley Painter
crazy.
joins us now with the latest. Chanley?
Hey guys, so we are expecting a judge to decide whether 50-year-old Lawrence Reed will stay behind bars this time, pending trial on federal terrorism charges for allegedly pouring gasoline on a 26-year-old woman and setting her on fire Monday while riding a city train in Chicago. Prosecutors say Reed had multiple prior cases over the last 3 decades with more than 49 arrests, including 10 felony cases.
10 felony cases, 49 arrests. I didn't know that was even possible. I didn't know you can have that many arrests and not serve a significant time in prison or in jail, at least 5+ years. 49 arrests?
Here's a look at just the Chicago Police Department records since 2017, where he was arrested at least 13 times for crimes ranging from battery and assault to aggravated arson. In fact, at the time of this incident, prosecutors say Reed was already on pretrial release for an aggravated battery case for violently hitting a social worker. Prosecutors asked the judge to keep Reed in custody until trial, but the judge placed him on electronic monitoring. So that didn't stop.
So this judge decided to place him on electronic monitoring. This judge should be liable for what has happened with this person in the train. This person was set on fire because that judge didn't do the correct thing and have that person in jail while they've committed so many other crimes. This person attacked a social worker. This person has 49 other arrests. What kind of judge allows this man to be on an ankle monitor knowing these facts? This doesn't even make sense to me. Like, we got to hold these judges accountable because they're letting out monsters terrorize these cities and states in this country.
Stop him from picking up these new federal terrorism charges for allegedly setting a woman on fire Monday. Something Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson calls an isolated incident.
This is an isolated incident. I mean, I don't see this as some sort of trend. And again, the level of accountability that has to happen in this moment, I trust that the federal level will do its part.
And for the first time since Monday's attack, the family.
It's not an isolated incident. Like, what, November 10th, there was a lady that was stabbed in Chicago in the chest just randomly. It's not an isolated incident when this particular person has 49 other arrests and he has escalated each and every time. Why? Because he's not being held accountable for his actions.
Of the 26-year-old victim is speaking out, saying, quote, "We would like to thank everyone for their prayers and well wishes as our daughter receives care for injuries sustained earlier this week. We are also grateful for the excellent care and support of the burn team at Stroger Hospital." And those in the courtroom during Reed's first appearance in federal court Wednesday say he was disruptive, making multiple outbursts and admissions, including yelling over the judge that he wanted to represent himself and claiming that he was a Chinese citizen. Guys.
Chanley, thank you.
Obviously deranged. This criminal record.
This guy thought he's a Chinese citizen.
This would be let out, but it can't be surprised. We've seen stuff like this. Maybe this is not egregious, but we've seen this before where judges don't seem to understand that they're
look at his rap sheet.
Anybody,
family, look at his rap sheet.
Look at this role of the type of arrests.
Arrested for battery, assault, aggravated arson.
He gets very little jail time.
He was arrested back in 2020 for aggravated arson. He's already been playing with fire. And why is this man out? Why? What is wrong with our system? Why are we allowing this man to be out amongst people who are doing jobs? They're seeing their family. They're just living their life in a peaceful manner. And you got this terrorist just roaming the streets.
And gets an ankle bracelet and told not to go back to a psychiatric hospital. That's his punishment.
49 prior arrests. This is what the U.S. District Attorney from the Northern District of Illinois said. She was minding her own business. She was reading her phone on the train, that a lot of people do. Reed approached her from the back of the train, doused her head and her body with gasoline, and attempted to ignite the liquid. She ran to the back of the train. He ignited the rest of the liquid and then used that to light her on fire. She was engulfed in flames, and she tried to put it out by rolling on the ground, desperately trying to put it out. No one came to her aid. When the train stopped, she somehow managed, while she was on fire, to get out onto the platform, and 2 good Samaritans came to put out the fire.
So if you look at his background, if we can go to the wall right here, it tells a story, an escalation. He starts with DUI, an unlawful solicitation.
Look at this.
And then he escalates to criminal trespass. And then there's battery. And then he's arrested for criminal. He turns violent, criminal damages then. Then he goes to battery. And then he goes to aggravated arson. And then he goes to aggravated assault, battery again, and then criminal.
This man has been a monster to society since 2017, at least according to this. That's 8 years, going on 9 years of just being a terror. This man poured liquid on her in broad daylight in a train with so many different people that are witnesses. So much technology now. He don't care. Evil, and he's crazy. And then he proceeded to walk her down like he's Jason Voorhees to put the fire on her. Like this man needs to be in prison for the rest of his life, or the death penalty, because this woman is lucky, but her life is over as far as being normal. She can't live a normal life now. She's going to be terrorized. On top of the physical ailments that he put on her, this woman is I'm glad she's still alive, but her life is dramatically changed forever. Man, this
damage
is
to property.
horrible.
And then now he's arrested for aggravated battery and attempted murder as well. So
Attempted murder.
I'm all for programs and I'm all for reforming people. But this guy has clearly showed over the past decade that he doesn't want to be reformed.
No.
And you got to take it that way. I was mentoring this kid in juvenile court. I'm not going to say his name, but he kept stealing. Smart kid. I would go to the classes, try to get him into the programs, do the mentorship, but he kept escalating. And the judge finally said, either we're going to put him behind bars or we're not going to deal with this anymore. I get a call after I'm no longer working with this guy, probably about 10 years ago. He tried to break into someone's home and the guy shot him. Now the kid is dead. But because we tried all these little programs and didn't just keep him locked up.
These programs do not work for people who want to commit crimes. Do you know what program works? Like Denzel said in Training Day, shoe program. Lock him up 23 hours in a day, 1 hour of exercise. That's the program he needs. He needs to have HOA in jail. That's the program he needs. He don't need to be outside. These people do not need to be out in the streets, out with the rest of social. They need to be home in jail. That's their new home. That's their new residence. They can't be out with society. It's just these programs don't work. It's extremely rare that they work. And if you want to implement a program, do it while they're in prison. Let them show you proof over at least a 5 to 10 year period that they can be amongst normal civilized people, because these people are monsters.
So you can even have a chance at life. It escalated to death. That is what happens when you believe in this myth of criminal justice reform.
It don't work.
That can work for everyone.
Or it's just trying to be woke.
Yeah, they're trying to be woke. It's so dumb. We're going to look at one of the attorneys that's on Fox that explains everything too.
It's time to keep him behind bars, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really is, especially when you consider that he had the ankle bracelet on and he was in violation of the terms of the ankle bracelet. What good is the bracelet if nobody's monitoring it, right?
This is crazy.
Obviously, that's all just fluff. Look, the bottom line here is this, and I constantly make this point whenever I can. There's a small segment of society. We're not talking, excuse me, about coming down like a ton of bricks on everybody who runs afoul of the law, all right? We're talking about a specific segment of society that, were we to finally recognize, they are incorrigibles. perhaps due to mental illness. I get that. They have to be, I'm sorry, they have to be isolated from the rest of society.
I agree. You need to isolate those individuals, or they are not allowed to be with the rest of society because they've already shown they can't handle it. They're evil, they're mentally deranged, and they just don't care about human life. This man had a CVS receipt of violations. It's ridiculous. And speaking of being ridiculous and how it starts when you're younger, look at this in Chicago.
Post on X from Alderman Brian Hopkins, who's of course one of the downtown aldermen, and he
look at how many
this is the alderman
kids are there
here. So that's what we're attributing.
How many
this
teenagers?
To. He has posted a tweet or on X 300 juveniles. He says noting rioting in the Loop now. At least 5 victims have been shot. 1 critical with life-threatening gunshot wound to the torso. Multiple police officers attacked and injured with mace and stun guns. At least 1 police officer has been hospitalized.
My first question is, where the hell are their parents? Why are these kids committing these crimes out like it's just a normal day in life? This is story after story after story of these juveniles committing these crimes. Where are the parents? You know what the solution would be for me? Lock up the parents too. Parents serve the same amount of time the juvenile would serve if that juvenile was an actual adult. That's the only way you're going to stop it. Then these parents will be in their kids' lives. Also, guarantee you, 1 single parent household. That's why these kids are running amok. You need to have 2 parents need to be in these kids' lives, husband and wife, or male and female, either way. But that is the root of this. And we need to put these kids in juvenile detention for as long as the law allows it. And then we need to reform the law so it can be even longer, because this is too much.
That's according to downtown Alderman Brian Hopkins, who has been very vocal, Robin, Cheryl, and Trey, about the need to have new rules of engagement for the Chicago police in terms of how they can deal with youth and how they can deal with large gatherings of youth that happen.
No more large gatherings.
When the weather gets nice.
Unless it's a
and
concert.
It became quite
or
a
sporting
political
event.
Story, not just a few months ago. Brian Hopkins, one of the big advocates for allowing the police to have much more flexible rules, ability to declare a riot, declare an unpeaceful situation, and clear people out. So these
and the only way Chicago and other cities like this get better is if the parents and the people of that city actually go out and they talk to the mayor and the governor for change. That's the only way. The people in Chicago need to go and march down and talk to Brandon Johnson and hold him accountable and let him know I don't want to hear no more rhetoric about deform the police. I don't want to hear anything like that. We need more police officers out there. We need better laws. We need the judges to be held accountable and stop letting these monsters out in the streets. This whole reform, these criminals, that don't work. It's not going to work. For a very small percentage, yes. But we don't go by the small percentage. We go by the majority. And majority of the time, it don't work. These people are repeat offenders, and they're just going to terrorize whatever city or state that they're living in. And it's not right for the people that are just going about their lives, trying to live their lives and not do any harm to anybody else. But then they're the victims, and they're either burnt on fire, stabbed, or dead. And that's just unjust. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, subscribe for that YouTube algorithm, and hit that notification bell for all my other videos. I appreciate you guys. Peace.